Hey everyone, welcome to Girls Gone Hallmark, a bonus episode from Long Story Short, the podcast. I'm Megan.
I'm Wendy.
And today we're discussing the standalone Hallmark original movie, Sweet Carolina, starring Lacey Chabert and Tyler Hynes. And before we get into our thoughts on this movie that was 100% designed to make you cry, let's drop a quick reminder of where you can find us outside of the podcast. Of course, you can always find our detailed show notes written by Wendy at meganandwendy.com/podcast. Tons of information about the things we've talked about in the show. I highly recommend you take a look. You can join us on Instagram where we are Megan and Wendy LSS. And you can hop into our Facebook group, which is Long Story Shorties.
Oh, and we love your emails. You know we do. It's meganandwendy@gmail.com. However, I don't think we have any emails today, but we did get a little bit of feedback regarding our review from, it wasn't last week, but the last movie we reviewed.
It was last week.
Was it? I can't even remember now. But it was Baby, It's Cold Inside. Not a movie I really liked so much. I think I gave it 0 stars. But we did get some feedback that I don't remember exactly what it said. Do you, Megan?
It said, Hallmark Movie 101, they all have the same storyline, and you have to go into the movie knowing it's going to be cheesy.
Okay, that is fair. That's a fair assessment. I think there is a part of that you have to, drop. What did they say? You have to drop
suspend reality.
That's the word. Suspend reality for a lot of things. I get that, but I just can't. I know the Hallmark movies are supposed to be this way, but I could still be critical of them. I don't love cheesy movies. And that's why I'm here on this podcast to tell you I don't love cheese.
Well, and I think to be fair, there have been a number of movies that we've quite enjoyed. Taking a Shot at Love, we loved. As Luck Would Have It, we loved. There have been movies that we've really enjoyed. So it's not that, even Wendy, who is a self-professed Hallmark hater, can't appreciate a Hallmark movie. That movie was bad, guys, last week. Some of them are just bad.
Some of them are just bad.
Don't make a hotel the character in your movie. Should be Hallmark Movie 101.
I agree. All right, let's talk about Sweet Carolina, because this one, spoiler alert, I thought was pretty good.
Good. Let's go with news and notes. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you know how many movies prior to this one Lacey Chabert has been in? I'm going to be sad if you also found this.
Okay, wait, let me think. How old could she be?
I would guess she's in her mid-30s.
Okay. I don't know, 15?
This is her 26th Hallmark movie.
Wow, that's a lot of movies. I mean, I feel like that's more than one a year. That's like 3 a year. 2?
We've seen her in several this year.
We have?
Well, I have.
Oh, okay. I can't remember. She's remember
38
one.
years old.
Wow.
Born in 1982.
Little Claudia.
She executive produced this movie, and she specifically chose our friend Heinez for this role. And we hear that a lot, that sometimes when the actress is cast first, or when the actress plays a lead, like a strong role in the movie where they have a little bit of say, that they specifically ask for the actor. And it's often our buddy Tyler Hynes when they get to ask.
Well, duh. He's like the George Clooney of Hallmark movies. Of course. Like, I feel like I've had this conversation before. Like, he draws an audience. Of course, you're going to pick the guy that draws the audience to watch your movie. Like,
spoiler alert, he did not disappoint me in this movie.
Okay, we'll talk about him in a bit. I have a little bit of news and notes. Did you know that Lacey, how do you say her name? Chabert?
Yeah.
Okay. She developed the story for this movie.
I saw that.
That's pretty amazing. She didn't write it. She didn't write the teleplay, but she and somebody else developed the story. So I think that's I would equate that to hey, I want to build a building, and then an architect comes up with the plans. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is what I wanted to look at. You make it happen.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's cool. I'm excited about that. What else?
You may recognize Delilah. The actress Cassidy Nugent was also in Chasing Waterfalls.
Oh, that was the daughter?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she was terrible in Chasing Waterfalls. I thought she was pretty good in this one, though.
I did too. And Virgin River fans will recognize character Kate Wilder as actress Terrell Rothery. She plays a strong role in Virgin River. She's also been in a number of shows, but as soon as I saw her, like, I pinged with recognition, and what I was remembering her from was Virgin River, which is on Netflix and has a bit of a Hallmark feel to it. It's been described that way. I do think it has a little more bite than your standard Hallmark movie, but Hallmark fans may enjoy.
Who'd she play in this movie?
The mom.
Oh, the mom.
The grandmother.
Yeah. Who was so put together. I just loved her look, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had read that the actor who played Tony, her boyfriend, Peter Benson, is also the director of this movie.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. Anyway, this movie was to take place in North Carolina, but it was actually filmed, guess, Megan, where was it filmed?
In Canada, British Columbia, Vancouver, and Maple Ridge.
So we were talking off air before we started recording that the name of this movie is called Sweet Carolina, but we don't know what that was in reference to. And the only thing I can connect the dots is that it took place in North Carolina. I think they could have come up with a better name.
Yeah, that fell apart a little bit. I think perhaps the idea of coming home was meant to play a bigger role in the movie, because that is one of the bigger themes, that Josie does come home. But I don't feel like they played the North Carolina as home strong enough for that to be the name of this movie.
Agree.
What were your first impressions of this movie?
Well, I really liked that it broke, for the most part, away from the Hallmark norm, the template that we are so used to seeing. The standout movies to me are the ones that don't follow the same
formula.
Trajectory formula. Yeah. Yes. Also, I was very invested in Josie's character and her life decisions, and would not want to be in her shoes at all. So yeah, my first impressions are that I liked it. What about you?
I also enjoyed it for the same reasons you mentioned. I liked that it went a little bit of a different way. We'll talk a little bit more about what we liked, but overall, I enjoyed this movie.
Me too. All right.
So specifically, what did you like in addition to what we mentioned?
I really enjoyed the cast. I just think you cannot go wrong with Lacey and Tyler at all. I mean, like you said, of course she wanted him in this role as Cooper, and who wouldn't? I feel like Lacey is a higher tier Hallmark actress. There's
yeah, she and Candace Cameron are right up there together.
Right? They're high tier. And I'm not even going to say who I think is a low tier, but I think you might know. So I'm drawn to the movies that have I feel like there's going to be depth from an actor who has experience. I don't know. Does any of that make sense?
100%.
All right. What did you like? I liked a bunch of things, but I want to hear some of yours.
Well, I like that they developed the entire cast. Every single character kind of had a trajectory and a story to be told, and it all played well together. We know sometimes that we give these supporting characters stories that don't necessarily play into the overall storyline, and I think they did a good job. The brother had, good character growth, the relationship she had with her dad. I thought they really brought all of that together well, and it was more of an ensemble cast as opposed to a Hallmark romance.
Well, right. So, hold on, I'm looking for that note. That's what I really liked about this movie, is that the story was about Josie. It wasn't about Josie and Cooper and their budding romance. That was all secondary to the overall story. And I just thought it was such a nice departure. I loved it.
I like that they didn't feel the need to rush their relationship. We just see the beginning of it, and that's okay. That's where they were in this movie. The main storyline about Josie choosing to stay home and parent these kids, I felt like was the story that we needed resolution on. And it's okay that we're just getting the beginning of the next part.
Right. I think so too. And so on IMDb, the reviews were like, oh, this needs to be a series because now we need to see what happens to, Cooper and Josie and blah, 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 whatever, which I would totally be down with that.
Sure.
The fact that Tyler Hynes played kind of a secondary role kind of surprised me.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he was top billed for this movie, but he wasn't so much part of, I don't know. I'm just kind of surprised that he took a role like that, but I liked him in it. And tell me what you said that you liked so much about him.
Well, I like his acting is very subtle, and the things that get me are just the way he throws a line away every now and then, and I believe it. I feel like he would be fun to talk to in real life. I think he's probably funny because he kind of plays that natural comedy. There's a line when she thinks he's proposing and he's just asking to borrow the truck, and he goes, "What do you think we're talking about?" She goes, "Marriage," and he goes, "What?" Like, just his tiny little what was played so perfectly, and if you didn't catch it, it's definitely worth going back and watching.
Okay, I will.
Because it struck me.
Well, he gives me Tim McGraw vibes.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I like him too. And what I really liked about this role for him is every other Tyler Hynes movie that I have seen this past year, he always is this jerk off. Like, he is snarky and not so nice and thinks he's right about everything. It's like a lot of male toxic masculinity, right? This was not that role for him. He was kind. He was caring. Like that scene when he sees her at the sister's wake or whatever, and he's like, "How are you?" And she's starts rattling off about the kids. He's like, "No, how are you?" And I was like, "Oh my God." And my husband walked in, he goes, "Are you crying?" And I was like, "I'm not crying at this movie." But yeah, he did it for me too in this movie. I really enjoy him as an actor.
You have anything else you liked?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, go for it.
I do. Okay. Gregory Harrison played her dad, and he's been in a ton of stuff, forever, right? I don't know when he turned into a grandpa with gray hair, but he's been in a ton of stuff. But he was such an asshole in this role. I hated her dad. I don't really, have these kind of feelings towards characters, but maybe it just, struck a nerve for me. I was like, you're so mean to her. And you could see she was questioning, why is he mad at me? He's disappointed in me, blah, 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 whatever. And I just was like, I really thought it was good acting.
Yes, I believed it, and I was upset with him, and I didn't like the way he treated her, and I'm glad they had a whole arc where they brought it home, and she has a conversation with him, and they come to an understanding. But yes, I agree. I believed him as the disappointed dad.
Yeah.
Who didn't believe in her.
Right. And then finally, the scene at the very top when she gets the phone call that her sister has been killed, she brought it. Lacey Chabert, whatever. She was so good. It brought me to tears. Is that when you cried too?
There, when she walks into the house and she sees her mom.
Oh, yeah.
When she goes upstairs to Delilah, and, you can just, I thought Delilah's acting was great in that moment where you can tell she's just kind of crushed. That whole montage of moments where it's very fresh. And then, of course, at the funeral services. And then I was a little worried. I was like, am I going to cry through this entire thing? And I did not. That was it. Once we moved on, I was not crying anymore. But I cried.
It was a legit movie. All right. So what'd you wish for?
Well, as much as I liked that we just see the beginning of their relationship, and I think that was appropriate for this movie. It did leave me wishing for more. I want more Josie and Cooper, and like you said, I would be quite open to a sequel.
Yeah, I wonder, yeah, they could totally do a sequel for this movie or a series or something. I don't think these two actors would do a series, but definitely a sequel. And because since it's not tied to like a seasonal, it's not a seasonal movie, they can like drop it anywhere. Yeah, I liked it. I wish that they didn't need the Tony storyline, her boyfriend, Tony, who was like busy with work. And then he like calls and he's like such a jerk. I'm like, her sister just died, dude. She's not rushing back to New York to be with you, who you're never home anyway. So what the heck?
I thought their breakup was so awkward. And I think that's such a good point. We always have, when they find a new relationship, we often have them already in a relationship that's not good for one reason or another. And I don't think we needed that. And their breakup was so awkward when she calls and he's like, this isn't working for me. What? Of course she's not rushing back. She has these 2 children now. And then she finally goes, I think this is over. Like, well, yeah.
But he also says, like, I think we know it's been over for a while. Why are you calling her to get her back to town then? Like, that didn't make any sense.
Right? When are you coming back so I can break up with you in person?
Yeah. Like, have a little sympathy, dude. Yeah. I didn't like him. Also, I need some explanation on Tyler's hair. Now, I know I talk about this in every movie. I just can't figure it out. To me, it looks like he's growing it out like long, which is fine. But he just has like a massive head of hair, I think.
Well, I was looking at his Instagram and there's a photo, I don't know when it was taken, where the sides of his head are shaved.
Oh.
But it's longer on top. And I wondered if they were trying, because like maybe that wasn't the look, like the hip look that they needed for this
high school basketball.
Teacher,
yeah, whatever.
That they just kind of like, it was like a comb over situation where they're trying to cover up. And
maybe.
So they kept it long on top because we've seen it where he has long hair, but it's tamed. And in this case, it was not tamed. It was just kind of like a shaggy long hair look. And look, I enjoy Tyler Hynes quite a bit. I have objectified him many times on this podcast. But yes, his hair was a mystery to me, and I did find myself looking at it quite a bit.
And it looks so much darker than it has been in other movies, too. So, yeah, maybe there was something going on there. I don't know. I wouldn't mind running my fingers through it, but I mean, I think we're officially Heinez, Megan.
Hashtag old ladies for Heinez. So...
That's funny.
Did you see that?
Yes, I have a couple.
I liked her mirror to-do list. I thought, I should do that in the morning when I need to remember.
Oh my God. Megan, you know what is so funny? When I saw that, I was like, oh, they're talking Megan's language here. She probably loves that so much.
I love a to-do list. And I love one that like stares me in the face. Literally, I'm totally doing that. I'm putting a whiteboard marker in my drawer.
Yeah, I think you should. Okay. Did you notice while they were baking cookies that there was candy jars on the countertop?
I did.
But they were filled with candies that you wouldn't put in cookies.
Yes, like I swear, sugar candy.
Yes, I swear I saw Runts and Lifesavers. And then I saw M&Ms, which, okay, fine. But, like, when you don't put those other candies in cookies, that would be terrible.
Agree. I noticed. I thought it was maybe just for color and filling in the table. But
yeah, and yes, it looked beautiful, but no, you don't put those candies. Did you notice, too, they had the flour scene, right? The, flour, when they were throwing the flour, the baking flour. Okay. I think recently we talked about this happening in another movie, and you're like, that's the driest pantry I've ever seen, right?
Yeah. Okay. The driest food fight.
Yes. Well, I know this is like a food fight too, but it's just with the flour. But Lacey whatever. I'm just going to call her Lacey because I cannot say her last name. Anyway, she gets nailed in the face with flour. And like, I think it's a legit nailing because her reaction was like so startled and I laughed out loud. I thought it was so funny.
Yeah, I liked that. And I also liked that there's no dialogue in that moment once they start. They're just like laughing, because the issue we had in the other movie is they get into the food fight. There's a flubbed line. I'm certain of it. They leave it in the movie because at this point they're dirty. They don't want to reset the scene. It was a smart move to just have this be a playful scene because there's nothing to really ruin, right? Like you can just add the funny flower throwing.
Right.
They just, told them to go for it. So I enjoyed that scene.
Now, as a watcher, I was like, I would die if that was my kitchen. I would be so pissed if people threw flour in my kitchen.
Yes. I loved her ring light on her video call.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Only we would notice something like that.
It was huge. Did you see it?
I don't know if I really did or not. I can't remember.
She had a full tabletop ring light, and I thought, you came here like in a rush. Did you actually pack your ring light? Does somebody here have one? Did you run out and get one? But I did appreciate that dedication to the good video call lighting.
Yeah. I thought it was so funny when she went to pick those kids up from school and she was dressed from the top up.
Yes.
And I thought like that wasn't, I didn't think it was going to be a dress because I was like, oh, of course that makes perfect sense. Like she was only from the top up, that's why she's wearing sweats. But then the mom calls her out on it. And it was a very funny line. I thought like, everybody who's been home for the last year and who has done Zoom calls knows you're not going to get fully dressed.
Yeah. And it was such a mom thing to be like, let's go fix your outfit.
Yeah. It was super funny.
Did you notice towards the end of the movie, she gets out of bed and she's sleeping in her robe over her pajamas?
No. Do you do that? I know you use
I use a robe. You put it on when you get out of bed.
Yeah. No. Why would you be, unless it was very cold? I don't know. Did you notice when she blew the circuit breaker or whatever with her hair iron and whatever, and she's like, I knew this old house wouldn't be able to handle this. I was like, it's not an old house. Like it's a plenty fine house that would be able to handle a circuit breaker.
Yes. There's nothing about that house that makes it look old.
No, nothing.
And that's all I have. Do you have anything else?
I do. Via IMDb, somebody had noted that there's a flashback scene when the sister was pregnant and they were taking photos. The sister has the same phone case as the one that the mom pulled out of her purse, where she's like, "Oh, it's so-and-so's phone. What do I do with it?" Yeah. Same phone case, but we're supposed to believe this is like years and years apart,
Well, I did appreciation their dedication to those flashback scenes and to having so many photos, family photos and photos of the sisters. It's just a nice little added detail that they actually took the photos and put them in frames, and it wasn't just Lacey's childhood photos. It was like the cast, and they staged it to make them look younger and different stages of life. I liked that.
Agree.
What would you rate this movie?
Megan? I rate this a 3.5-star movie.
Whoa! I only gave it 3.
What?
I'm impressed. I don't know why. It's very arbitrary. There's no rules.
I know. So I think... Oh, wait, hold on. I have to tell you something. Remind me after. I think it was a universal story of grief. It can be played throughout the year. It had great acting. It was a great story. And it broke from the Hallmark template. That's why I gave it such a high rating. I loved it.
Yeah, I started watching, and I will admit, we've talked about this before, these movies come on over the weekend, and sometimes watching them over the weekend feels a little bit like a chore. A little bit like... But I started watching, and I didn't want to stop. Like, I wanted to just sit there and watch this full 2-hour movie.
Me too.
I highly recommend it.
Me too.
Even for the non-Hallmark fan, like, even if you're not a regular Hallmark watcher, I think you might enjoy this one.
I think so too.
All right, guys, we've talked about this in the past, but Hallmark's system of announcing their upcoming movies is imperfect. So the research that I have done this morning via the app and via their website, and you can email us and correct me if I'm wrong, tells me that between now and June 5th, when Summer Night starts, there is no currently scheduled original programming. We've been wrong in the past, but my understanding is we have a 2-week break. We will be back the week of June 5th with the first of the Summer Nights movies.
Yes,
So-
you had me at Aloha, and I'm very excited because I love me Hawaii. So
Me too. And it just has all those summer cute sundress, umbrella in your drink vibes going for it. I'm ready, especially after the Ice Hotel movie last week. So there will be a 2-week break from Girls Gone Hallmark, but never you fear, we will be back. Until then, make sure to check out our regular podcasts every Tuesday. Those aren't going anywhere. Have a great weekend, everybody. Goodbye.
bye.